Hey, Benjamin Russell, founder of the Lifestyle Rebellion movement. What we're going to talk about today is a principle that I founded the entire movement on, and that every single member, including probably the one that shared this video with you, believes in with their heart and soul. They're passionate about it, and it's called a living wage. So what is a living wage? Well, the world has a different definition than us. The world says a living wage is whatever minimal amount of money you need to sustain life. So we're talking bare necessities, a roof over your head and enough food to not be malnourished. This is not something that should be strived for. It's not something that you desire in life. It's just this minimal standard. And when just given this minimal standard of living, what usually happens if it's a gift, if it's charity, well, guess what? You usually accept this as your new standard of living. Why work harder for something more when you can just take this and have it? And this doesn't work either because it destroys the human creativity and ingenuity that you need in order to achieve and be something in life. Our definition, we work it a little differently. One, we create a living wage for ourselves. And two, our living wage is whatever standard of living we are at right now. So if you need 5, 10, 15 grand a month in order to maintain and sustain your standard of living, that's going to be your new living wage. And many members create it in under 2 years. More on that to follow. So let's talk about systems for creating and experiencing life. So right now the current system, let's look at this. And I'm going to go on American numbers because they're easiest to find, although this is a global rebellion. Half of all Americans living paycheck to paycheck. This is a depressing statistic. Think about this. If half of Americans missed one payday, injury, death in the family, hurricane, whatever, if they miss one payday, they're already into credit cards or unable to sustain their current standard of living. They don't have any savings or retirement. They have nothing else. Also, most people, they spend 40, 50 hours a week working, 10 to 20 hours a week commuting, and their little amount of free time they spend on other necessities like groceries and laundry and house chores. And then if they have any time on the weekend, they have barely enough time to do any of their own hobbies or enjoy life. This is also a bad system. Now you do this through all of your peak physical years. We're talking about from age 20 all the way up to about age 70 now is when people are retiring. You got 50 years of your peak physical and psychological development, ingenuity, and energy to create and do something meaningful in life, or just enjoy your life. Who says you have to be a slave your entire life to some organization or company, or to trying to make a buck by spending 50 hours a week working on someone else's dream? You should have a dream. More on this system. You control your time at your lowest quality of life. So you don't control your time for your first 20 years, right? You're required to go to school by the government, and you're required to do this and that by your parents. And then again, then you're required to work all day, every day, and commute all day, every day for the next 50 years. So now you're 70, and you are finally truly free off of a very minimal Social Security, maybe a little bit of a 401k. So you have a lowest standard of living of your life when you finally control it. And if you are still alive, you don't have any energy or physical or mental capacity to go do and achieve the things that you wanted to do in the first place. Well, there's a better system. If you have a living wage, you have no concern of living paycheck to paycheck or when the next paycheck will come. So what if you don't work? You know the next amount of money is coming in, guaranteed, permanent, residual, and you're good. You can spend it all or not spend it all. It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry and stress about savings and retirement because that money is permanent. It's going to carry on past 70. So you don't need to save 30% of your paycheck just to hopefully sustain your life after you're 70. You spend your time as you want. When, where, doing whatever you want. If you want to spend 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with your kids in the middle of the day, you can. You don't have to spend your time in your short window of freedom from 8 to 10 at night because all the rest of your day is spent working on someone else's dream and someone else's activities and doing what someone else says. You don't have to lie or beg your boss for time off to go to a kid's play or concert, or to go for something that you want to do. Maybe you want to go to a concert. You don't have to do those things because you have your income taken care of. You live life through your peak years. So when you have the physical and mental capacity to do things, you do them. And you'd be amazed at the things you can achieve. Just picture it for 1 minute for me. Think about if you had 60 hours a week freed up. What would you do? What would you achieve? Maybe for a few weeks you'd relax and take a psychological break from your current lifestyle and binge watch HBO and Netflix? Sure, maybe you would. But after that, would you maybe become the next Mozart, the next Shakespeare, the next Beethoven, the next Picasso? Would you try out a dozen different hobbies and be a jack of all trades? What would you do? Would you create the next Google? Would you be the next Steve Jobs? I'm willing to bet that you'd do something and be something more than what you are now if you didn't spend 60 hours a week driving and sitting at a desk. And then you control your time throughout your life, which extends your life. There's a lot of research on this. You can look it up. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right now, but there's a lot of medical journals and studies and clinical trials on the amount of life you lose. We're talking years, even decades for some people, because of the high levels of stress and the high level of work that you have to sustain throughout your peak years and into the end of your peak years, into retirement. If you're working from 50 to 70, you're likely shaving off months of the tail end of your life for every year that you're working. And again, look it up, read some medical journals on it to validate this, but you are losing years of your life just to try to sustain it. This is a bad methodology. And it gets worse. Let's take a look. Let's look at how this current system works. And again, this is in the US, whose numbers are better than most every other country on this. Poverty, 14.3%. We're talking about, what's that, 1 in 6 people live in poverty? Are you kidding me? So think of 6 people that you know, right? One of them, by average, is living beneath the poverty line, which is less than $24,000 a year. Most of us can't even afford our house for $24,000 a year. The next one, median, 50% of people are less than $50,000 a year. That's a huge number. Less than half people are making $5,000 a month, and that's his household income. So this is between any or multiple working spouses or partners. So less than $50,000 a year, less than 60, I'm sorry. The top income earners are greater than 225. So you're in the top 2% if you only make 225,000. For some people that seems like a huge number, but for others, you're thinking, wow, I could barely afford my rent for 225 if you're living in certain areas of San Francisco or New York or even Houston or LA. So to be a top individual in the US, a top earner, top 2%, you only need 225. That's not even $20,000 a month. This is a very sad system that we live in, that everyone has to abide by and plug into. It's a system that you live in. It's not you that's broken. It's the system. It's so broken. And then savings. 34%. So a little over a third of people have $0. A third have $0 in savings. Less than $1,000, you're now up to 70%. You're out of 7 out of 10 Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Median retirement is less than $5,000, so half of all people have less than $5,000 in retirement. Median debt is greater than $200,000. So look at this. Over half of all people have over $200,000 in debt, but also half of all people have less than $5,000 in retirement, and over half have less than $1,000 in savings, and half make $59,000. So $59,000 a year and $200,000 in debt, this is a bad balance right there. And this is the system that you live in. This is why it's so broken. And again, statistics never lie. 1 in 7 make less than 25K. You only make 225, top 2%. Third of all people have no savings whatsoever. Half less have than 5K in retirement, and all with a median debt of 200K. This is the current situation of the US. If this bothers you, and if you think that you are meant for something greater, with something more, check out the Lifestyle Rebellion movement, or just try to create something on your own. All you need is a side hustle or a startup. It's not that difficult to create tens of thousands of dollars of income from a business, from an online scalable business, when you have the whole entire world as your customer to create revenue from. If you want to learn more about it, again, check out lifestylerebellion.com. Which brings me to this last piece, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Once you have that living wage, and you're not required to spend 60, 70 hours a week working and commuting for someone else's dream, and your levels of stress, your levels of cortisol go down, suddenly there's creativity and endorphins that take its place. It's called the humanistic theory of creativity. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this video is already far too long, but Google it. Humanistic theory of creativity. By taking and applying this theory to your daily life, after you create a living wage, you'll be amazed at how much you can create and do. This is for the people who have always felt like they were meant for something more. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt that you could achieve and do more in life, but you were held back by something? Life events, karma. Well, guess what? It's not karma. It's not a life event. You were held back by the system that you have to adapt to and live in. We're rebelling against that system. The lifestyle rebellion is based on the principle that we can create a living wage and we can then give back more to society, and we can create and be the people that we were meant to be. I hope this resonates with you, and I hope you decide to check out Lifestyle Rebellion, or at the very least, create a living wage for yourself. Good luck, and enjoy.